Let's get ready for some Game of Thrones spoilers. This is the Grand Northern Conspiracy. In the end, this is going to fuck you up on just how good Martin really is. So, unless you have read the books or just into conspiracies and politics of Game of Thrones, then don't watch this. This series is going to go over some seemingly unimportant events leading up to and after the Red Wedding. It will be a bit long, so I will not try to explain any intricacies. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments or send me a shout on Facebook or Twitter, and I will try very hard to explain them there. So, let's explain the Starks and their bannermen for a second. The Starks have been the only kings in the North for thousands of years, and as such, they have gotten lots of respect and love from their bannermen. Their bannermen want nothing more than Starks to remain in power, and it doesn't matter to them that, as far as they know, almost every single Stark on the planet is dead or missing. A Stark must always remain in Winterfell. Once Ned has been beheaded, and Robb is now Lord of Winterfell and King of the North, he marries Jane Westerling in the books and Talisa in the show. And as far as anybody knows, Bran and Rickon are dead, Arya is presumed dead, Sansa's married to Tyrion, and Jon is at the Wall. Robb realizes that he could very well be killed at any point during the war, and he has no real heir, so he discusses what he should do with Catelyn. She tries to get him to name Sansa first, but Robb trashes that proposal because Sansa's married to a Lannister, and he will be goddamned if a Lannister is going to be part ruler of the North. Catelyn then suggests maybe Arya, but as far as they know, she's most likely dead. He says that he would like to name Jon heir in the event of his death, but Catelyn absolutely refuses this idea because he is a bastard. Robb says as king and lord he can legitimize Jon. Catelyn then raises the point that Jon has sworn an oath and he is now a member of Night's Watch, so he can't possibly be a lord, much less a king. However, there is a certain amount of precedent for this. Sir Barristan Selmy and Sir Boros Blunt were both pretty much kicked out of the King's Guard, whose positions are for life. Also, Master Aemon, who became Maester, which is also another for life oath, was offered the crown. He refused, but a High Septon at the time offered to absolve his vows for him, but he still refused. Seems that Robb has already made up his mind. He may legitimize Jon in the event or prior to his death and name him heir until whatever point he has a kid. Robb then writes his last decree / last will of who will follow him. There are 5 witnesses to this: Great John Umber, Galbert Glover, Mage Mormont, Edmure Tully, and Jason Mallister. They have all signed and added their seals. All of the witnesses are still alive. Out of the 5, Great John becomes hostage of the Lannisters and Freys, and Mallister becomes a prisoner at his own keep. This letter does not go north with Glover or Mormont. They each take false letters, and it is thought that they are killed in the chaos of the Red Wedding. Another possibility is that the letter does make it at least to Hagsmire. So now we jump ahead a bit past the Red Wedding and straight on to Lady Stoneheart. There is a spy in Riverrun known as Tom of Sevens. It appears that Jaime likes him, so he gets a lot of information straight from Jaime and random things he hears around the place. He reports to the Brotherhood Without Banners, who Lady Stoneheart is teamed up with now. Tom learns 2 major things. 1, Ryman Frey, who is Walder Frey's heir, is leaving out and probably heading back to the twins. And 2, all of the remaining Red Wedding hostages are going to be handed over to the Lannisters and probably going to be headed back to King's Landing. He's also learned that Jaime is pretty damn good at what he does, so learning this, it takes him only 2 days to get into contact with the Brotherhood, who then ambush Ryman. Most of the River Lords have bent the knee because their relatives are captive. Not a single Frey would be safe if, say, the captives had escaped or had been killed, and since Tom has told the Brotherhood of plans to relocate the prisoners, the Brotherhood can totally make this happen. So now we come to Davin Lannister. He is engaged to a Frey. He promises Jaime before he leaves to go to Raventree that he will definitely make sure he gets married, because he does not want to be a part of another Red Wedding. Since we know Tom has gathered intel and reported back, could Lady Stoneheart and the Brotherhood invite themselves to a Red Wedding redo? Later on, Jaime questions Lady Maria about the recent death of her husband, Merritt Frey. The peasants reported seeing a one-eyed man, who would be Jack B. Lucky, and a man in a yellow cloak, Lemon Cloak, and a hooded woman whose face was torn up, which would be Lady Stoneheart. They had last been tracked to just north of Hagsmire and were lost in the Neck. It is suspected that Lady Stoneheart is going for that letter to bring it to Howland Reed in Greywater Watch, who is also the last known person to know who Jon Snow's parents really are. By the end of A Feast for Crows, Brynden Tully has gotten out of Riverrun and is running around somewhere in that general area. Brynden just so happened to be Robb's most trusted advisor, so it stands to reason that he would know of Robb's intentions to name Jon heir. It also reasons that Edmure has told Brynden of the new heir and king. Jaime sends Edmure back to Riverrun to negotiate a surrender, during which time Jaime leaves Ed alone with none other than Thomas Evans. Riverlands. So, after Brendan's escape, he may very well run into the Brotherhood where he found Catelyn and starting helping out with whatever comes next. Or he could be heading over to the Vale where he had served for quite a while as Knight of the Gate, which is a position of higher honor. There he could easily gather an army of Stark supporters and capitalize on the Brotherhood's attempt to get the Lannisters out of the Riverlands. The entire Tully garrison was run out of Riverrun, free to go with no harm done so long as they swore an oath to play nice. Only 2 people decided they would much rather take the Black, Sir Desmond Grell and Sir Robin Ryger. Jaime assigns them about a dozen men to escort them to Maidenpool, so most likely when they get there, they would probably take a ship to Eastwatch. They may have already had orders from Brendan to serve Jon with the papers saying that he could be heir. Meanwhile, Theon comes across a hooded man in Winterfell. Theon finds him while he's wandering around in the snow. Theon does not recognize him. Most likely this is Harwin. He was a member of the Stark household and possible member of the Brotherhood. He arrived sometime after the wedding between Ramsay and fake Arya. Most likely Lady Stoneheart has heard of this wedding and has sent someone to go check it out. So why does this matter if the hooded person is Harwin? Well, it confirms suspicions that Lady Stoneheart is conspiring with the Northmen to put the Starks back in power. He could assure all the Northern lords that the hostages from the Red Wedding will soon be freed. This would allow those in Winterfell to act. So for next time, we will dig a little deeper. All of this will begin to make a lot more sense and it won't seem so scattered about everywhere. Just remember that everyone in the North has information to be used.
Hey guys, this is Derp. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. If you have comments, be sure to leave it in the comment system below. She'll try to make sense of some of this nonsense she's talking about and come back for part 2 where she will try to make some of this shit come together and start making sense. Otherwise, I'm going to stop this series. Peace.